Welcome to the July meeting of the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals. Would you please rise for the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just for the record, one of our regular members and also our alternate were unable to be here tonight, so we'll have 6 voting members for tonight's session. For those that are new to the procedures of the ZBA, the meeting will be divided into 2 parts. During the first part, we will hold public hearings on each of the applications that have been submitted. And we'll do this in the order in which they're listed on the agenda. Copies of the agenda are available in that little black tray there by our counsel's desk. For each application, we'll ask the applicant to come forward, state your name for the record, and to be sworn in. All testimony before the ZBA must be sworn testimony, and that includes comments from the public. Each of those speakers also has to be sworn. We'll ask each applicant to very briefly describe the reason they're applying for a variance. We've read the materials you've submitted, so you don't have to go into great detail, but just quickly remind us of what the issue is. At that point, each of the members of the board will have an opportunity to ask questions to get further information about the application. And when each of the board members has had a chance to ask their questions, the floor will be open to anyone from the public that wishes to address that application. But that application only. When we've heard from everyone, the public hearing will be closed and we'll go on to the next application. When we've finished all of those, we'll return to the top of the agenda for the deliberation phase. Now, during this part of the meeting, there's no further public input. Although it's a public meeting, you're certainly welcome to stay and listen to our discussions and our voting. If you choose not to stay, you can call the zoning department in the morning and get the results. Okay, so starting right in, item number 1, David Imperati, 11 Morse Street. Just come on up, have a seat, and I just want to remind everyone that our deliberations are being both videotaped and recorded, so I would ask everybody to just be careful to speak into the microphone so that you can get picked up. Okay, so your name, sir?
Dave Imperati.
Okay, and
This is my wife.
Mary Imperati.
okay,
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
okay. So what brings you here tonight?
We want to put a front porch on our house. Okay, we have one there now that's ready to fall down. And we're going to put a new one up. And we're going to expand it a little and put a roof on it. And we just don't meet the zoning on any part.
Okay, okay. Christine?
No questions.
Paul?
It fits within the width of the house now, right?
Yes.
And then it'd just be a little closer to the street?
Yes. Not really.
They're a little closer.
Not much.
No,
though.
because the steps go out to the street.
Okay.
Out towards the street now, they won't be now.
The
So,
steps are going to come out the side?
yes, so
Right,
actually it will be about the same amount of space toward the road.
As the steps are now?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. According to my records, the house was built in 1950?
Yes.
Right, so that was long before the current zoning standards were in place. Okay. And, okay, and the lot is 100 feet wide, or no, 50 feet wide?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's-
175 long.
Okay, so it's a narrow,
Yes.
deep lot, okay. All right, Larry?
No questions.
No questions.
James?
No question.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application at 11 Moore Street? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Item 2, Anthony and Elizabeth Liguri.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and your name?
My name is Anthony Liguri.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, and so the project that you'd like to do?
We would like to build a front porch to the house and as well as a rear deck.
Okay,
And what we have is the house was built prior to the zoning change for the setbacks on the side of the property. So we're just building, the construction that we're doing is just going to go flush up to the side of the house. It's not going to extend past any existing depth that's currently there.
okay. Christine?
That was my only question, thank you.
Paul?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Larry?
No questions.
No
Tom?
questions.
James?
No questions.
Okay, anyone in the audience wish to address an application at 35 Crestwood Boulevard? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, item 3, the shops at South Hills, 1895 South Road. Okay, and if you would each state your name for the record.
Nancy Forrest, I represent Glody Neon Signs.
Jeffrey Levy, DLC Management.
Okay,
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight will be true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we were here a little over a year ago to seek a variance for a monument sign that the board granted for us. Upon further review, realized that the design of the sign really didn't achieve what needed to be achieved. So we're back in front of you for a new design. I'm going to state some facts, and then I'm going to turn some of the other information for the mall over to Jeff.
sure.
We all know 1979, South Hills Mall was built, only game in town, very exciting for the area. They started at a little over 84,000 square feet. They're now over 446 square feet. Over the period of time have increased the size of the mall. Since that time, 1986, of course, we had the Galleria open. We had a few others, the Post Road Plaza, the Oakwood Commons, Chestnut Ridge, the 9 Mall increase. So all along the corridor of Route 9, we've had a lot of expansion, a lot more malls and shopping centers open up. The South Hills Mall, as you know, is up over the hill. It can't really be seen anywhere from Route 9. They, of course, do have a sign that originally was right on Route 9, which was quite visible from both north and south Route 9. DOT is also, with the increase in traffic and population, has expanded Route 9 to 3 lanes north, 3 lanes south, with turnoff lanes both left and right. And then 9D and Vassar Road have become 2 lanes with turnoffs left and right. So we have a lot of congestion and a lot of traffic down there. The reason we'd like to put this sign, it is on their property, it just is not located as an entrance. Don't really count the one on 9D, it's quite small. That's just kind of an entrance point, not used nearly as much as the other one. So we would like to have some visibilities for the other stores on this sign. The I have some photos. I think you have a small site plan showing where we want to locate it. I believe everyone has that, along with photos of the sign. This sign is approximately a quarter of the sign that currently exists. We have some, this is coming out of 90.
Can you take the remote microphone that's there?
Yeah, there's a portable mic right there.
You'll have to turn it.
Yeah, turn it on, and it may take a second to warm up. Give it a try. Good.
Okay. This is coming out of Route 9D. You can see the Burger King on the east side, and Raymore and Flanagan. And this is the area over in here where the sign will be located. So that's our view from 9D. This is coming out of Vassar Road, okay? We have our 3 lanes here, the right turn lane here, and over in this area, and you can see that on your site plan, well off the road, is where the sign would be located. And, oh, I think they printed the wrong one for me here. This is coming up Route 9. And the corner over in here is where we would like this visible. So it will be visible from coming up Vassar Road, up Route 9, and if you're stopped at 9D, it will also be visible on the way out. I don't know why they didn't print the one north, when you're heading northbound, even when you get up to where their sign is, it's very difficult to see because of the 5 lanes, 6 lanes of traffic to your left. And we were trying to get shots of it, and there were a couple tractor trailers there, and you literally couldn't even see the entranceway. So those are reasons for, some of our reasons for wanting to put that sign in that location. Turn it over to Jeff about the mall and their tenants.
What we've come to see in dealing with tenants, including a national tenant who's now looking at the Kmart space, or the former Kmart space, is an issue with visibility for our center. And it's blind, it's road blind, and it's making it increasingly difficult to get a tenant to sign a lease at a center that doesn't have sight lines. And we're trying to do everything we can to make our center viable and to make it visible and to get some new tenants to sign some deals. And we're willing to make investments not only with a sign, but with any tenant that comes our way. And as an example, the Kmart building itself is a huge expense. It's all electric. No one would want to pay that electric bill. I paid it all winter. I can tell you it was not pleasant. And we're looking for ways to make our center more attractive to tenants who want to be there and would like to be there but are concerned with the visibility.
Okay. As you know, by state law, we have to notify the county planning department of variance applications under a number of circumstances, and one is anything that it borders on a major highway. And so we have referred this to the county, and we've gotten a response. And so I need to read this into the record, and then I'd like you to just comment on it. Okay, to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Town of Poughkeepsie. The Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the submitted referral for countywide and intermunicipal impacts as outlined in general municipal law. Action. The applicant is seeking area variances to permit an additional freestanding sign. The following area variances are being requested. 1. Permit a 180 square foot sign where only 50 square feet is permitted. 2. Permit a freestanding sign not located at a driveway entrance. And 3. Permit an additional freestanding sign where only one is permitted. The property is located within the South Hills Center SHC zoning district. Comments. A large directory sign currently exists at the main entrance to the site just north on Route 9, and 2 additional monument signs flank both sides of the site entrance on Route 9D. The directory sign at the Route 9 entrance provides an ample business identification for those businesses in the center, as well as identifies the main entrance to the site. Allowing an oversized and duplicative directory sign not located at an entrance would greatly exceed the allowable size and number of signs as permitted by code, thereby setting a precedent for other business owners to make similar requests along busy highways. Recommendation. For the reasons stated above, we recommend that the board deny the request for the freestanding directory sign. Voting and reporting requirements. If the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority plus one of the full membership of the board, and that it notify us of the reasons for its decision. Sign, Owen Rafter, Commissioner, by Janet Tissier, Junior Planner. So they are essentially telling us that they're recommending to us that we deny this request. Since to approve it would be a supermajority, that would take 5 votes. And I'm just reminded there are 6 of us here. What would...
I certainly respect what they're saying, but
the microphone.
I certainly would respect what they're saying. I can understand it, but our property is a corner property. We're on 2 roads, and we are blind at that corner. No one knows anything that's up there. When I first started with DLC, I didn't even know where the property was. And I know where it is because I work there and we have responsibilities there. But from that corner, there's no idea what's up on the hill. And we're looking for ways to fill that center. And frankly, this has been an issue that has been brought up by multiple tenants. I'm not asking for anything huge or unsightly. We're not doing a pylon sign. We're doing a monument sign low to the ground. And we feel that's the best option for that corner, is to tell people what's up on that hill so they can visit if they want. And hopefully they will.
We also, if you think of them saying, starting a precedent, if you think of pretty much all of the other shopping centers, you have visibility from Route 9 on the large signs that are on the building for the majority of those stores. So wherever you are stopped in traffic or even driving along, if you glance over, you do see them. This one, we don't have that. And the northbound sign, the sign that's on the north, you're usually moving. If you're stopped in that traffic, it's, for a short time, whereas on the corner, we have 9 lanes of traffic stopped at any given time. So the opportunity to just see what's up there is perfect for them, and it should help them be able to keep the plaza full, the center full.
If we were only on one street and not on 2 streets, not on a corner, I could see where one sign would make a lot of sense, but that isn't our situation here. We have a side entrance that they mentioned has 2 monument signs. Our tenants feel they're useless. They don't do what they say shops at South Hills, but don't tell you anything that is part of that shop or what's in those shops. We're looking for a way for national tenants to feel they're identified and before they make a large investment in a property where they're going to be for 10 to 15 years on the first round of a lease.
Okay. Christine, any questions?
So you don't think that a sign that just says the shops at South Hills in that spot would alert that big intersection that there are stores? And if you go into the main entrance, all of the stores are listed there?
I don't feel necessarily that the shops of South Hills compel anything. I mean, if you're a Ashley Furniture and you're looking for Ashley Furniture, the shops at South Hills tells you nothing. And it's not like the days when there was a mall and you know all the anchors there and it would draw. That's not how retail is anymore, unfortunately. Most out center shoppers like ours are destinations. They're looking for a specific store. When I go out shopping, I'm not running to a big power center to walk around to see what's there. And half the year, no one wants to walk around outside anyways. It's a destination game now.
That's it.
Paul?
How'd you calculate the sign, the square area of the sign? You're requesting 180 square feet, is that right?
Yes, you would look at the, I believe they have it at the 15 foot in height by the full 12 foot in width. Well, actually, the shops at South Hills at the top is slightly smaller than the cabinet at the bottom. So if you want to do and eliminate, get down to the details, we're looking at 7 foot 7 inches tall on the bottom sign
Right.
by, let's see, where's my one here?
Looks like 11.6.
11 foot 6. And then the top box is 2 foot. 2 foot 10 inches by the 11 foot 6 inches. Actually, a little less than that. So that's calculated
South
separate.
Hills that part's 8 feet 7.5 inches, right?
8 foot 7.5 inches is the lettering, yes.
Right, and I have it as 2 feet high from the top of the shops to the bottom of South Hills.
Correct.
So actually, the way I calculated it came a little less than 180 square feet. Do you know what the zoning administrator, did she calculate the 180 square feet or? Because I think we've already found that the location is not really a problem, right?
What?
The location is not a problem. That's the variance we approved last time for a sign at or near that location. So I think it's
for the shops at South.
right, but so I think the only thing that's really changed is the size, right?
It's the size, yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're calculating it the right way.
Yeah, in her denial letter, the zoning administrator has it at 180 square feet.
Right, but is that based on her calculations or your?
That's how they normally do. They will box it out, like you just said. That the 2 foot by the 8 foot 7.5 inches is really the lettering,
Right.
and she probably boxed it out at the 2 foot 10 inches by the 11 foot 6. They usually encompass it that way.
So I think that we've been doing it as the box of the letters, right?
Right.
So not that whole panel.
That's how she did it. That's why she came up with 180.
I believe that the code says that you measure the area by taking the smallest rectangle that you fit around the content.
Right, so that for the top part, that's just 2 feet by, 6 feet 7, or 8 feet 7 inches, I can't read, it's too low, it's too small for me, 8 feet 7.5 inches, right? And then the bottom section, where all the signs are, I only came up with a little more than 109 square feet using the entire bottom panel, not the pedestal, and then the top lettering. So I'm just concerned about what we're approving or denying is accurate in measuring the square footage.
Okay. Well, in the drawing that they submit, they said that the illuminated portion of it is 98.77 square feet. So that would be the...
That would be the maximum part of...
Right.
Okay. Well, if we were to approve that amount of square footage, would that satisfy everybody? I just don't think the 180 is an accurate calculation of the square footage of the signage as we calculate it.
Okay. I would still have a problem.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, it's way bigger than, I mean, even at your calculation, it's twice as big.
Twice as big, right.
As what the code allows. And there is already an oversized directory sign there, so.
Okay. I think that the uniqueness of the location and the fact that those signs are so far apart kind of mitigates what you're concerned about, but
Okay. All right. Do you have other questions?
I do not.
Okay. I was going to say, I have some misgivings here. Does the directory include all of the occupied stores in South Mall?
The objective is to include every store at South Hills, yes.
Okay, okay,
We're not singling out anybody. We're including every single tenant that's currently there. And it gives us a little space for growth. Now, at some point, if we're lucky enough and the center's full, someone may not be included. But I don't think that's in the immediate future, although I wish it was.
okay,
May I hand out something to you just for a visible look?
okay.
Like I said, we're looking at about a quarter of the size. I actually brought a picture to kind of make it a little easier if you box that out. Quarter, that's the size of the new sign we're actually looking.
Thank you.
Okay, now this is the existing sign.
Correct.
Okay. And so how would this compare with what you're proposing?
A quarter of that, about 25% of that would be the size of the new sign. That one's over 400 square feet.
Okay. All right. Okay, I mean, I have a couple of issues here. One is a list of all of the things it makes for a very busy sign that I find hard to see and hard to read. I mean, especially if you're moving, trying to negotiate what is a very busy intersection, that it's distracting and I think perhaps potentially dangerous. The other is, I'm not sure that it achieves what you are seeking, because if you look at that sign, it contains absolutely no information about what you're supposed to do if suddenly you realize I'm out of pet food and I need to go to the pet goods or whatever it is. It doesn't tell you where to turn. It doesn't say, oh, by the way, it's in this mall that's behind this hill. It just doesn't provide the information. And the other is, and I think you mentioned it yourself, in terms of people knowing where these places are. I mean, most people, when they say, oh, I want to go to Ashley Furniture or I want to go to Hobby Lobby or whatever, Google it or put into their GPS, and it will say it's at South Hills, which is one of the best-known locations in the county. I mean, unless you are very new to the area. So that in terms of bringing people into the mall, I'm not sure that it does much.
If I may respond
Sure.
to those. As far as the moving traffic, anywhere on Route 9, most people aren't really paying a lot of attention, as I said, because of the widening of the road and all. And as I stated, we have 9 lanes of stopped traffic at any given time on there. So it's a matter of them being able to see what's currently in the South Hills Mall. We all know that all tenants don't stay all the time. They may not be looking for Ashley Furniture, may not know it's there, but if they see it's there, they'll remember it's there, and they all do know how to enter. We're not saying we're looking for all new people that have just moved to the area. Tenants change. A lot of people don't know what's up there right now. This allows them to see that. They may not be interested in going there right now, but it's in their mind now, oh, I didn't know they were in South Hills Mall or, whatever, but now they do. And so it does make a difference. There's been, especially over the last few years, been a lot of changes, so.
Okay.
We're basically responding to what the tenants are asking for and to what their prospects are looking for. And they're the ones who are pushing this.
No, I appreciate
I mean,
that.
we're not looking for ways to spend a huge amount of money for a sign that wouldn't do anything. We're looking for a way to please our tenants and hopefully get some future tenants interested in our center. Because, empty space is dangerous for all of us.
Yeah. Okay. Larry, any?
So the new sign is gonna be 25% the size of this sign?
Yes.
Yes, the new sign, as opposed to being a elevated pylon sign, is a monument, more low and tight to the ground monument sign.
And square footage wise is 25%.
So to pick up on something Jim mentioned, it would seem that to put all those stores in on a smaller sign would really be quite challenging to pick something out.
The normal rule of thumb is 4-inch letters are visible at 150 feet, normal eyesight. And these are larger than that. A lot of them, the logos themselves are also recognized.
Okay.
Tony?
I have just a few comments about this. First of all, I also agree that you're not necessarily reading all these things. You're recognizing brands, and I think that's to your benefit. I also think that you're saying there's 9 lanes that are stopped at all times. Since they changed the traffic pattern at that light, maybe 2 years ago, I'd say more frequently there's sometimes 12 lanes of traffic that are stopped because it doesn't move the same way. I live right up the road, and it's, I just wish I could get a helicopter and hover down back to my house instead of going through that intersection. I can't figure it out anymore. And I just think that property is, it breaks my heart every time I see something open up in there and then something close down in there. And, I'd love to see that property filled again. I really would. I think you guys have done some tremendous improvements. And I think because of what Paul mentioned, the uniqueness of that corner and anybody who goes by there on a regular basis. I go in the back entrance frequently because I know it's there.
Right.
But I would never go in there to find a store. It's a large sign. It's smaller than what's up on Route 9 right now, but quite frankly, I have a tendency to agree that this would help enhance your ability to occupy some more of that space, and I would really like to see that happen as a resident of the town of Poughkeepsie. I want to see some more of that property get back on the tax rolls, and I think this would help do that. And I don't think it's maybe larger, but I don't think it's obtrusive.
When we looked at this and we looked at the possibilities for this sign, and this is before you guys were really involved with it, we mirrored like 20 or 30 different sizes up there. And we immediately decided the pylon format with the 2 legs and, in the air was not right for that corner. And then we looked at the monument. We were thinking of doing a spread monument, and we came up with this because it's the most visible from that type of corner. It gives us the most visibility for our tenants. And that's what we're looking to do here.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of linear footage on that property. And the reason the 9D side, because of the way it was cut in there as an entranceway and an exit, does not allow for really a sign other than what's there. You couldn't have put really a monument that would be visible both directions of 9D that would be able to carry the tenants without being in the way of visibility.
Okay. James?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
according to the code, the sign measurement is the entire area of the sign with a single continuous perimeter enclosing the extreme limits of the actual signed surface. The rectangle that you were talking about is when you have individual letters mounted on the side of a building. So for this sign, the actual sign would be the surface of the sign which I think would include everything except the monument base. And whatever those dimensions are would be the area of the sign.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application?
Jim, I think Christine has
I
something.
just
Yeah.
have one other question.
Yeah.
How does the size of this new sign compare to the one that was approved prior to this? I have a picture of it here, I'm just looking.
The one that we approved on January 9th, 2017, I've got the resolution here, but it doesn't say what
Could have
the,
been two.
It doesn't.
It wouldn't have been in the resolution because what we were granting was the right to have an additional sign, not the size of the
yes,
sign.
right, okay. And
To look at the,
Say it was
I have a picture of it,
80
but,
or 90.
oh, wait, maybe this has it. It was 49.8 square feet. So it was within what was allowed by code.
Okay.
But at the same time, it was just said the shops at South Hills. It had no identifiers for anybody who was at the shops.
Right, right. It was,
Thank you.
it was actually very larger, but similar to the signs at the 9D entrance.
And as Mr. Leahy pointed out, and Ms. Cobb, the calculations, the way they're figured is by encompassing it into a square. In reality, as Mr. Leahy said, the actual signage is considerably smaller, what is lit. We can't do it that way because it looks totally ridiculous to not have any perimeters around anything. You need to center, top, bottom, left to right. I mean, we could beat the square footage down like that, but then it's not going to look very nice,
Yeah,
including the faces for the tenants.
It has to look consistent with what's already there. It can't be recreating the wheel.
Yeah.
We have a base for the sign. From the different looks of the existing signs on the property, we have to stay true to what we've done already. We feel that this side does that.
okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application at the shops at South Hills, 1895 South Road? Okay, I don't see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
because of the county's position, the fact that we don't have a full complement, do you want to give the applicant an opportunity to request an adjournment, or?
Could do that.
I thought you do.
Well, you're going to need a supermajority, and, you know, it's,
How many do we have?
there are 6
done this,
people.
we've done this
Six.
before. Should we
We
take a
need
straw?
five.
Just to give them a feel for it, or
We certainly could do that.
to decide whether you want to adjourn and
That would be nice.
take a shot?
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I mean, I have difficulty supporting this. I'll say that right out front.
I'm good with it.
You're okay.
I am also.
Good with, I'm sorry, that was a little
We're,
confusing.
we're kind of casually saying whether we're good with your proposal or not.
Right, well, you sounded like, and you sound like you are, and I
Yeah.
know Mr.
That's what it
Talley's
sounds like.
not, so.
That's, and somebody in the middle doesn't sound like that, so,
Still more.
and you need 5 out of 6 to get it passed tonight.
Okay, so.
You need 4.
A 4?
A supermajority, so you need
Supermajority.
5, sorry.
You need 5, and it's 5 of the full board.
The
not-
full
So you
board,
need
yeah.
5.
Did they change that from a majority plus one?
No,
It is it's a 7-member board. There
Right.
are only 6 people here tonight.
Right,
So
okay.
the
But it's
majority would be 4.
majority of the full board.
Majority plus 1 is 5.
yeah. And we have
And so we're missing
both
2?
one regular member and our alternate. So we're, you know, normally we have an alternate.
I don't know that it would turn out any differently, but
Yeah.
As I see it right now, I think you have 2 votes against, which would not give you the variance that you need. And we haven't heard from
Oh,
everyone.
sure. The other 2.
Okay, so James is thinking more on the plus side. Christine?
I'm kind of thinking, I don't think so.
Larry?
Want to adjourn?
I'm okay with it.
It's up to you.
So right now, I'm sorry, am I speaking out of turn?
No, go ahead.
I guess I'm just kind of go with the flow. Right now, you seem to have four people, I'm sorry, trying to help you out here. You seem to have four people that seem to be in favor of it out of six.
So
That's not enough to pass it tonight, but we also have two members that aren't here.
Correct, I understand
So
that.
you know, it's like,
Do we,
you want to bet on to come back next month and, you know,
Well, I mean, I think it's a given that it's not going to make it tonight, so our best bet is to adjourn.
probably sounds like your best bet.
and I know that would roll it to August. I also know it's summertime and there's vacations. Is there a way, Sonia,
I think-
to know if we're going to have a full board
I
next
think
time?
we addressed that last month, didn't we?
we pretty nearly, this is rare.
Yeah.
To be short.
Yeah, usually
This is rare.
summertime's when-
This is rare.
You know, people are vacationing, it's
Yeah.
understood.
We adjourned,
you normally know?
we changed the date for the August meeting because people, including me, were not going to be around.
Okay.
So I believe we do have a full board for the August meeting.
Okay.
Can I ask when that is?
August
Fifth.
5th.
Yeah.
August 5th? Okay.
I'll travel back on the 5th.
Okay, so you want to move for an adjournment?
Yes, I'd like to move that we adjourn this to the August 5th meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 4, Scott Lenig, 10 Henman Boulevard. Okay, if you'd each state your names, please.
I'm Scott Lenig.
I'm Marissa Lenik.
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, and what brings you here?
We have to put a porch on the front of the house, a covered porch.
Okay. All right, Christine, any questions?
1 second here. No questions.
Okay. Paul?
Nope. No questions.
Okay. The porch goes the full length.
Full width of the house.
And so it's no closer to the side yards than the house is now.
Nope,
Okay, and it's going to come out
6 feet.
6 feet. Okay. So that brings it just a little closer to the street than the code would allow. Do you know where the front property line is compared to the edge of the pavement?
The number,
Yeah.
I think it's like 20.
Okay, the reason I say that is I seem to remember from a couple of other applicants on Henman that Henman Boulevard is the pavement part of it is narrower than many streets. And so in fact, your property line is not at the edge of the pavement. It falls short.
Well, I believe all properties are supposed to be 3 feet back from the actual road, right?
Some places they are and some they aren't.
Okay, I thought that was
But
automatic.
there's something about Henman that's a little unusual that way.
They narrowed the road. It used to be wider, and they came and they took 3 feet off the road and extended my property 3 feet further out.
Okay, all right,
So, but that's theirs, I guess, that's the road.
okay. You're not quite sure just where that front line is with respect to the pavement.
Yeah, well, I have 28 feet from the, actually plus 6 would be 34 feet from the front of my house to the edge of the road.
Okay, okay. Larry?
No questions.
Tony?
I have no questions.
James?
No question.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application at 10 Henman Boulevard? Hearing none?
Before you close the public hearing, did you just say that the measurement that you have, the 28 feet, is to the edge of the pavement?
28 feet is from the edge of the front porch, that's gonna be there, to the edge of the pavement.
Which actually may not be the property line.
Right.
So the variance may not be a 28-foot variance. It may be, if you actually don't own those 3 feet, it may be, you may need a 25-foot, you may be 25 feet and you may need a 5-foot variance.
Yeah, I don't know that for sure. I just raised this because it could also be that in fact, the 28 feet goes to a line and then there's a further distance to the pavement.
The applicant just testified that he measured 28 feet, well, 34 feet from the pavement to the edge of his house.
Right.
Risk that each applicant takes if they don't have a survey.
Right, but if we were to grant the variance saying that it's 28 feet, and when you apply for your building permit, you find that you need more, you'd have to come back.
Okay, so can we settle this now and say subtract 3 feet, make it 25 feet? Or this has to be reapplied?
I don't know, is that a de minimis?
I think since no member of the public came out and it's a distance from the front lot line as opposed to from the sides where the neighbors would be more concerned, I'm not concerned about, I think the notice was sufficient.
Okay.
If the board were amenable to making that change. So we can say the lesser of and, the minimum variance to allow it to be set back 28 feet from the edge of the road or 25 feet from the property line.
Okay. All right, so if we were to approve it for 25 feet from the property line, I mean, the code says 30.
Right,
So
so
we're
it's the
talking
difference of a 2-foot variance versus a 5-foot variance.
Yeah, and in a situation where it probably doesn't make much difference to anybody, quite frankly. So, I mean, is the board okay with just amending that? I mean, I think it's certainly in the spirit of, kind of moving this along and.
Right.
And, yeah, okay. So I think we'll do that when we're drafting the resolution.
Okay.
Okay. Again, just to make sure, anybody in the public want to address this? No, okay. All right. All right, in that case, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks a lot. All right. Item number 5. Joanne and Chance Carswell, 590 Van Wagner Road. Okay.
Good evening.
Okay, your name, please.
Chance Caswell.
Joanne Caswell.
Okay. You're building a house.
Yes.
And, okay, you need a variance for a deck.
Yes.
Okay, you want to describe that and why?
Pardon me just a moment. Do you each swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. No, go ahead.
Nice catch. Okay. All right, now you can describe your deck.
Okay, so we are building new construction, and we would like to build a deck on the side of the house, which is going to have the sliding glass doors as an exit. Unfortunately, we have a 50-foot side setback, and it's a 10-foot deck on the side.
Okay. Okay, Christine?
Excuse me, no questions.
Okay, Paul?
Was there some problem locating the house to accommodate the side yard setbacks?
Well, we just managed to get
it's
the
just-
house in
okay.
the setbacks.
All right. Okay, then no further questions.
Okay. This is going to be, at least from the back of the house, raised up, a very high deck, actually.
Correct.
Yeah. And it has to go on the side because of the doors.
Correct.
Okay. Now, that was part of the original house design? And
Yeah, we designed it because it's a gable end, so it's got cathedral ceilings on that side.
Okay. Larry?
No questions.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Okay, Tony. And James?
No questions.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application of 590 Van Wagner Road? Okay, seeing none. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Saverio Dahlia. Okay. Each of you would just state your name for the record.
Saverio Dahlia. Robert Fracchia.
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, you want to give us a quick overview of?
What we'd like to do is to actually turn the house about 90 degrees in order to give it more of a curb appeal, to face it towards Van Wagner roadside, to make the front of the house. And that's basically what it is, and we need about a 6.7 foot variance to do so.
Let's see. According to the documents I have, the dwelling would be located 31 feet from the northern side lot line and 28 feet from the southern line.
Correct.
And the code calls for 50 feet for each. So that means one variance of 29 feet and one of 32 feet.
Well, the original house this is the R4A zone, and that was originally set up, that was supposed to be 50 feet, and what was approved by the planning board was 37.7 feet. That's on the northern end.
Well,
I have a picture. Do you have the?
yeah, part of, actually, the bulk of what you submitted was this, this drawing, which appears, okay, the drawing's not dated, so it's a little hard to tell, but when was this prepared?
This was done, basically, it was, the original one was done in 2001.
Okay.
And then it was amended, I believe, in 2007.
And
Is yours highlighted in red?
Right, and there's a
Okay.
little red triangle in there.
Correct,
That's
correct.
what, the 2007?
Right, right.
Okay. And was there a variance from the ZBA for this?
This was the original, I guess, the subdivision from the when it was subdivided.
Okay, and now presumably that means that it was approved by the planning board?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, the planning board often approves things knowing full well that variances may be needed, and so then they come here.
Right.
So are you aware of either in 2001 or 2007 that there were any ZBA variances granted?
No, but this was that was from the filed map from the planning board.
Okay. Now, our counsel's going to have to help me out here a little bit. My understanding is that because the map was filed, that this is a legal building lot, because it had been approved. See, under the current zoning, it would not be, because it's too small.
It would be a legal building lot, yes. The placement of the house is not necessarily.
Okay.
If there were a site plan approval granted as part of the subdivision and no shovel to ground in that time, my understanding is that the plan would have expired and you would need a new site plan. Because this is a single-family house, and even if there were variances granted at that time, if they weren't utilized from 2007, they would still have expired if the house weren't constructed. So I think you treat this as if it were a new application, not as if what the planning board approved, at least in terms of the location of a house, is a given. Often in subdivisions, the houses are shown just to show that they would be within the lot lines at that time, but not necessarily where that house would be located.
So would a variance be needed for lot size?
Typically, no. If the town has not required, if it's an existing lot, the town doesn't require a variance to build on a substandard lot. If you were going to make it more non-conforming, they would require a variance for that. But if the lot is legally existing, they don't require a lot size variance. You still need to meet setbacks, however.
And the setbacks that are in the current code?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about the 50-foot requirements.
Right, so it would be the 50 feet, and then it would be, okay, so then actually, I see what you're saying about the 31 feet.
Yeah, so I think the way it's written on the agenda is in fact correct. Yeah, right. Right, so the two variances are of 19 feet and 22 feet. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess let's just go around and get Christine?
No questions.
Just so I'm clear, you're a potential buyer, right? This is not your lot yet?
Yes.
Okay. So is it fair to say that the purchase of the lot is contingent upon the granting of the variance?
Yes.
Okay, then that's all I have.
Okay. Is it possible to move the location of the house so that the required variances would be less or?
Well, it's pretty difficult owing to where the septic design is.
Okay.
See, the way the house looks now, it looks like a trailer. You know, I'm trying to get away from that look. You know, the front of the house should face the road. You know, if you look at it now, you're going to look at the side of a house, it's going to look like a trailer.
Right. Okay. All right. Larry?
No question.
Tony?
I have no questions.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Okay. there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application at 649 Van Wagner Road? Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, sit down.
Okay, yeah.
See right there. Go ahead.
I'm Robert Wilson.
Okay, well, you just have a seat. We need to get it onto the microphone and onto the record, so, okay, yeah, all right, now, go ahead.
Vincent Catalano, I'm an attorney, 4 Liberty Street, Poughkeepsie, New York. And I'm Robert Nilsson. I'm the resident in the adjoining property at 641 Van Wagner. My wife is in the audience.
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
I do. Thank you.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, I'd like everybody to know that we got the information on this application only a few days ago, right before the 4th of July. Vince was out of town, so I haven't really had time to meet and review all of the details. But I'll just quickly run through my notes on my initial thoughts, just so you understand where I'm coming from. First of all, I'll start with that the applicant has indicated what's that called? It's this form that you fill out, and just looking at B1 through 5. B1 indicates that he doesn't think the setbacks will have a negative impact on the character of the neighborhood. I think that's, I simply disagree with that. And if I look at your zoning ordinance, section 21014A, the R4A district purpose, it indicates that this is supposed to be a rural part of the town of Poughkeepsie, and that low-density housing with open space is a very big part of that character. So by taking everything and putting it too close to the property line that separates my property from his property, I think he's going against the intent of the zoning ordinance. The other question, or the other thing I have is a question. The applicant's drawing appears to indicate, I can't tell exactly, that the front yard setback is around 90 feet perhaps. He doesn't actually dimension it. I believe the front yard setback is supposed to be 100 feet. So should he also be asking for a variance on that front yard setback? I don't know if you can clarify that or not. There are some other points. There's an old cistern and some other things about the site that I think are more site planning issues. I won't go into those. I'd like to know, perhaps you can tell me, are you intending to live on the subject property, or are you just building to sell to others?
Build a house for my son.
For your son? Okay, very good. And are you at all involved in purchasing the adjoining house from Mr. Inc.? Okay, all right, so they're not related activities. I could maybe clear up the idea that you were talking about earlier, that the subject property was created by a minor subdivision undertaken by the current owner in 2007, I believe, is the sign-off for that minor subdivision. And at that time, I don't believe that the zoning envelope was R4A. It was, I think, R45 or something like that. So that's why you get a non-conforming use. And you've kind of already addressed that since that non-conformity occurred, there's been no attempt to rectify that or to act upon it. So I think the discussion that you've already had about the way the variances have to be treated is appropriate. I'd like you to know that we also disagree with the assertion in B2 that the proposed house must violate the required side yards in order to face the house towards Van Wagner Road. I am an architect, and it's known that many houses can be designed to have a narrow dimension facing the front yard lot and still put an entrance on it. It by no means is limited, and I think the point here is that the applicant should design the house to fit the lot, not change or vary the zoning to fit the house. So I think that's an important part of the process that needs to be gone through. We also disagree with the assertion at his response to questions B3 and B4, that the variance request is not substantial. As you pointed out, he's looking for something like a 40% change in the requirement of the side yards, which I would consider to be a very substantial change from what's required. And again, I think that the spacing between the houses, if you look at the street elevation, by taking this house and proposing it way over to the left, rather than trying to space the houses out more evenly along the road, doesn't fit within the character of the R4A. I'd also, and I guess you've already kind of touched on this, I've noted that the subject land is not currently occupied by a house, and so therefore we disagree that the applicant is not creating a self-inflicted harm here. He's looking for a lot to fit the house for his son, but, you know, that's a question of, is this the right lot? Now, I've also done a couple things to answer some of the questions that had come out, and maybe the quickest way here is to, maybe you'd like to have one of these two. Maybe we can just, I think there's more than enough if you just want to pass them around. What I've done is taken a look at his drawing and asked myself, is that the only way to do this? And what I've said is, you know, look, with respect to my side yard, I'd like to have that 50-foot that's required by the zoning ordinance. So what I've shown here are two plans, a Plan A and a Plan B. Plan A takes his drawing, and his drawing is the red cross-hatched rectangle. That's where he's proposing his house. It's kind of faint. And then what I'm saying he could do is in the yellow rectangles that are placed on top of the other drawings. And I'm showing where that 50-foot setback would need to be. And I've taken it once. I would recommend that he turn the house the way it was originally designed. The lot is long and narrow, and I was suggesting that he turn the lot in Plan A, showing a house that has the long axis parallel with the long axis of the lot. And you can get a 50-foot setback on my side of the property and not extend any closer to the side yard than his proposal would be with a lot with a house turned perpendicular. If he feels strongly that the house needs to be parallel to Van Wagner, and he doesn't want to try and design something that's more in keeping with the character of the lot, Plan B shows that same rectangle simply pushed to meet the 50-foot requirement along my side yard, and that puts it somewhat closer to the sideline between this land and the land of Mr. Inkler, who is doing the subdivision. So,
okay, all right.
Let's see, this, yeah, so I think because Mr. Inkler is trying to sell the property to Mr. Dahlia, I would think they too could get along and agree to these smaller side yards, because they both have an economic interest in making that happen, and it would at least leave me in a better position relative to the existing zoning. I also have a question. There has been no discussion or comment about the garage. Are you intending to put the garage as part of your site plan application?
It's going to be built into the house.
So it's going to be under the house?
Yes.
So I think it's important that we all understand that this would then come before the planning board again, because now that raises all kinds of questions about the driveway, where the driveway should be, how is the driveway going to approach the house?
We already have a proposed driveway.
They show a proposed driveway going, but you're saying that the garage isn't going to be there?
Well, excuse me, gentlemen, but the rules are that we don't have a debate or a discussion.
Okay, all right.
But please raise the points that you want to raise, and we
Okay, the issue is, if the garage is part of the applicant's proposal, then I'm saying that the garage also should meet the 50-foot setback as required by the zoning ordinance, and that's, is part of the zoning ordinance, that the garage be considered the same as the house. Let's see.
Lisa, would you check that?
The other advantage.
What the requirements for a freestanding garage would be?
The applicant said he wasn't going to
The
have a
applicant said he
freestanding.
wasn't constructing it, that the garage would be under the house, as part of the house, so he wasn't proposing it.
Okay.
By moving the house as I'm proposing to maintain the 50-foot setbacks, that will also give him more room for his driveway on that side of the house, allowing for a little bit more of a setback, which will permit the screening that is required by the zoning ordinance to separate our driveways along that sideline. So I think there is an advantage to moving it 50 feet away from the property line, so that he can then conform with the other zoning requirements under, I think it's section 21014 F13, the R4A design standards. And then I'm hoping that maybe we could just get some more time to review this. It's been happening very quickly over the last couple of days. There might be more in there that if I had time I could get through that. I guess there will be an opportunity under the planning board review for the detailed design. I also have a question about whether the design standards of the health department have changed in this interim of time period. This is now a 12-year-old proposal in terms of all of the drawings on the site, and I don't know whether the design standards have changed or not. I assume that would come up during the planning board review. But
I don't believe that single-family homes require a planning board review. They may just be building staff, building department review.
Okay.
does it go back in front of the
It
health
will
department?
need Board of Health approval.
So it would be Board of
Right.
Health, okay.
So there's a concern about, and I don't know whether this zoning board can address this, but there's a concern about the closeness of the driveway as it's proposed on this particular map, and whether or not there would be any requirement for a buffer along that side. I don't know if that's something that can be addressed now, but certainly that's something that Mr. Nielsen is concerned about. And that sort of goes hand in hand with the fact that, look, the closer you get to his property line with this house, the more it's going to interfere, the closer the driveway is going to get to that property line as well. He wants to avoid that as much as possible. And you know, I mean, in terms of, look, if the reality is that you don't need a variance for one side of this. The way it's been proposed, he's just suggesting that the house gets moved over a little bit towards the Ankler property, which, you know, I mean, it's his subdivision, it's his property. If anybody should suffer the hardship of a variance, it probably should be him, quite frankly. And you can preserve the setback requirements on Mr. Nielsen's side of the property. And it addresses the applicant's concern that he switch it to 90 degrees and he has the front door facing the front of the Van Wagner Road. I don't know.
One last comment, and then I'll take my leave. The zoning ordinance now provides a rather interesting tool for dealing with an issue like this, which is Section 135, paragraphs 1 through 6. Its short title is called the Town of Poughkeepsie Lot Line Revision Law. And it allows lot lines between two adjacent properties where the owner on each side of the line agrees to change that line as required to do what they're trying to do to effectuate this sale. And I think that would be an interesting thing for them to undertake, where, you know, if you need to adjust the line a little bit to minimize or address any specific thing that comes up at the planning board, they give the planning board authority, I believe. I don't know if you would know that better than I, to then alter that line a little bit if necessary to accommodate the needs of the buyer and the seller. And it would be strictly between the two of them. It wouldn't involve me as long as I get the 50-foot setback that butts up against our property. Thank you very much for...
I have a question though before.
Go ahead, yeah. I was just going to say, is there any members of the board that have an opportunity here to?
Mr. Nielsen?
Yes, yeah, Nielsen, yep.
Did you own the property when the subdivision was granted? Your property?
The property is actually owned by my wife.
Your
and
property?
In 2007, yes, we've lived there for 32 years.
Okay, that was my question. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions of any of these four gentlemen? Okay. No. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address this application? Okay, apparently not. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we just, I move to, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Item number 7, Ira Steer, 87 Duchess Turnpike.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself on this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if you both state your names.
Ira Steer.
I'm David Beckwith, architect for Ira Steer.
Okay. All right, and, if you would swear them in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, if you kind of give us a brief overview of your project.
Dr. Steer needs to replace the entry canopy. Currently, there's a canvas canopy covering the entrance to his dental office, and that's in very poor shape. So he would like to replace it with an enclosed entry, which would obviously be a nice upgrade to the property and the building. But the property is only 100 foot wide approximately, and he needs a 50-foot side yard in order to meet the zoning. So it's clearly impossible. So we need 8 foot on one side and 7.5 on the other.
Okay.
And in a nutshell, that's it.
Okay. Christine?
No questions.
Paul?
No, I'm still recused.
Oh, you're recused, that's right. Still? Oh, okay. So the location of this vestibule is basically where the canopy is now?
Correct.
Okay. Larry?
No questions.
No question.
James?
No questions.
Okay. How did this come to be such a narrow piece of property? Was this a former residence?
Yes, it used to be a residential home, and several years ago, the zoning was changed to 1H.
Okay. So about how long have you been there?
1988 is when I purchased the house.
And then
It
made it your practice?
Yes, it immediately became a dental office. It was originally a home office, and once I had the zoning changed, it allowed me to move out and use the entire building for the dental practice.
Okay, very good. Anyone in the audience wish to address the application at 876 Duchess Turnpike? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Oh, okay, yes.
I'm the next door.
Yep. You have to come forward, and we've got to do all the process. Have a seat, and your name, sir.
My name's Rob LaBarbera.
Okay, and you are the next door neighbor.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony provided tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Very well.
Okay.
Now, with the staircase, you're not extending. You're asking for a variance onto the side of my property, or are you asking for the variance to the road?
Now, actually, where the existing awning is really to replace that awning, but make it an enclosed vestibule, so that all of the staircase will remain essentially where it is, just within the confines of an enclosed vestibule so that the stairs and the wheelchair lift are not subject to weather?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really about it.
All right.
We have a drawing if you want to see it.
Yeah, so if you won't mind, if I can just look at the drawing really quick, so we know. So this is what it.
So you can see where the existing awning is right here.
Correct.
And then this is the vestibule right here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, all right. Anyone else any further questions from the board? If not, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you. All right. Item number 8, Matthew and Jennifer Canella, 10 Nassau Road. Good evening, folks. If you just state your names.
Jennifer Canella.
I'm Matthew Canella.
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and what brings you here?
So we would like a variance for our pool deck and our pool, because we're on a side lot. It's going past the side of our house by 5 feet, even though it's in our backyard.
Okay.
So, and it's in a fenced-in backyard. A 6-foot fence is around our whole backyard also.
Okay. So the proposed pool is inside that fence?
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
fine. All right, Christine?
No questions.
Paul?
The pool is completed and the deck is almost completed, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so what brought your attention that you needed a variance?
Because when we went for the permit last year, we got the permit, it said you could put the pool up, and we didn't know we needed a variance.
Okay, and so
So then it was like the middle of the summer already when we were doing all this last year. The
They
deck
said
just
you
went
gotta
up.
apply for a variance. So we said, okay.
Okay, that's it.
All right, and as you mentioned, you're on a corner, so technically you have 2 front yards. And
Right.
That's
That's
where
the
the
issue.
problem
That
is.
was
Right.
confusing.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Larry?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
James?
No question.
Okay, anyone in the audience wish to address the application at 10 Nassau Road? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, item number 9, Richard Erickson, 20 North Jackson Drive. Okay, and your name?
Richard Erickson?
Do you swear, or affirm that the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
And why are you seeking a variance?
I'm looking to put a 10 by 18 shed a little bit within the setback maximum from the permit.
All right. And I think you said this is, there had been a shed there at one time.
Correct.
And
It was a bit smaller.
small, okay. Okay. Christine?
No questions.
Paul?
Is this going to go right to the edge of the driveway or behind the fence?
To the edge of the driveway.
Right at the end of the driveway?
Just before, probably a few inches before the driveway ends.
Okay, and so what are you going to do with that fence there? Will it fit in the gate?
The fence on the right side is just going to be adjusted a bit.
Okay, and how tall is the shed?
The shed, the walls are 7 foot high, so the total height is probably between 9 and 10 feet.
Is it going to be used as a garage or just as a?
No, just a shed. Storage for lawnmowers and daddy storage.
All right, that's all.
As I recall from being out there, along the left side, there's a row of mature, I think they're trees or bushes. They're going to stay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
okay.
that's on the other property line.
Okay. And the other thing I noticed when I was out there is that your backyard slopes.
Correct.
Kind of down.
Yep.
And so it looked to me like where you were putting it was as level a place as you probably have.
I would say so, correct.
Okay. Larry?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
James?
No question.
And-
I'm sorry, I do have another question.
Yeah, sure.
The drawing shows that the shed, the one side is in line with the driveway. Is that accurate?
Correct.
All right, so it won't be any closer to the side yard line than the driveway is right now?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to address the application at 20 North Jackson Drive? All right, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, item number 10, Kyle Buckley, 26 Peach Road. Okay, if you'd each state your names.
Kyle Buckley. James Buckley.
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and you want to briefly describe what you're planning to do?
Sure. This is new residential single-family construction on Peach Road there. We had a zoning change from R20 at the time of the subdivision to an R4A currently. We're asking for a variance on the front setback from 100 feet to 50 feet. Main reasons, we're working to stay within an area that is not in the flood zone. So we want to leave that area undisturbed, as well as be within reach for an overhead electric service from the Central Hudson pole that's across the street.
Okay. What complications does that cause? I'm not familiar with
the electric.
Central Hudson's.
They have a maximum overhead of, I believe it's 100 feet, 100 to 125 feet that they'll go overhead for an electric service. Otherwise, I would need to install my own telephone pole and be responsible for the service to the new construction. But the precedent on the street, other houses have the overhead service from the other side of the road, so we're trying to fall within that requirement.
Okay. You've mentioned that in the application. I didn't know what the rules were. Okay. Christine.
No questions.
Paul.
No questions.
Let's see. According to this, it was subdivided in 1989.
I believe that's correct.
So it's been there a lot there for a long time. Okay. Larry.
No question.
Tony.
No questions.
James.
No questions.
All right. Anyone from the? And just to clarify something, you had 26 in kind of quotes.
Yeah, it doesn't have a street number as of yet. It's in between number 24 and number 28, so it's a proposed 26, I guess.
Assuming it's going to be 26.
That's my best guess.
Okay, all right. Anyone in the audience wish to address the application at 26 Peach Road? All right, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 11, Michael and Tina Martin Ignafo, 11 Manchester Road.
Good thing to say it just last.
And Mr. Chair, just for the record, my firm handled apparently the closing on this property for this applicant. And I understand that the applicant doesn't have an objection to my sitting on behalf of the ZBA right now.
Correct.
And I'd ask the board, if they have no objection to my being the attorney for the ZBA on this, to just note for the record, actually by motion, that they will waive the conflict, such as it is.
And I understand you were not involved in any of the,
I didn't know it until I did the conflict search for when the application came in. I had no involvement in the prior matter.
okay. Anybody have a issue here?
I have no objection.
Okay. So I move that the ZBA waive any conflict of interest issues involving our counsel on this application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we can proceed. Okay. Your name, sir?
My name is Wilfred Rohde.
Okay.
Call me Bill, though.
Okay.
Mike Ignatho.
Do you each swear or affirm the testimony you provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you tell us what you're hoping to do with this property?
What we're hoping to do is to take the attic and make a single-bedroom unit out of it. This property has been zoned, not zoned, has been by parcel access by the county, has been designated as a 3-unit building. It only has 2 units now, so we're trying to make the 3rd floor or the attic a single-family unit. Now, I know that it was built in 1930. Since then, Manchester Road was built and they just went right across the backyard and took the whole backyard out. And if anybody wants to see it, the map of that, Lisa, could you put this over there? I'm sorry. Let people have that. Just to let you know how much, that's okay, the whole thing. How much the property was taken by the state when they built the arterials. So therefore, we don't fit the proper size, per code. Mike, do you want to say anything?
Okay, so, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
When we bought the property fairly recently, we were under the impression it was a legal 3-family house structure. It had been zoned or assessed as a 3-family for a large number of years. Town has been collecting taxes as a 3-family. Prior to buying it, all our due diligence reflected back as a 3-family property. It was only brought to our attention when we applied to renovate the kitchen and bathrooms on all 3 apartments, because there is currently, or was it, an existing apartment up there, that we were informed that the top floor was not legal. There was a variance approved previously for lower ceiling height to allow the apartment to be there. So it was, as a 3-family property, it was advantageous for us to buy it. But as a 2-family property, the numbers just don't work.
Okay. And as a result, there's a density requirement in the code that you're running up against. Okay.
Now that Manchester Road came across there.
Well, of course, that was prior to your buying it. And, so in that sense, it's a kind of a self-inflicted hardship. But that doesn't preclude us from granting a variance. So, okay, Christine, any questions?
And it looks like there's dormers on each side on the 3rd floor, so it would be easy enough to take care of. Okay, that's all.
Paul?
No questions.
Okay. Okay, I noticed there were 3 electric meters on the outside, so obviously at some point there were 3 apartments, I guess. But it was probably vacated because of the fire code issues.
Evidently there was a fire at one point in time.
Oh.
But to my understanding, people were living into it when I pulled the property file, pretty much right up, prior to it being foreclosed on.
Oh, okay. Larry?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Okay, James?
No questions.
Okay. Anyone in the audience wish to address the application at 11 Manchester Road? Right? Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Coozles? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Items 11, 12, 13, and 14, or no, wait, let's see.
12, 13, 14.
12, 13, 14, and 15 are all mobile Exxon for service stations at 4 different locations. So is there a spokesman for mobile here? No. Okay.
Called during the month, and we specifically asked if they wanted to be on this agenda item, and they affirmatively said yes, they did want to be on.
Okay.
We confirmed the day before, last week also.
So,
well,
in this instance, we have a few housekeeping items to clean up anyway, since it doesn't appear that these were referred to county. So we can refer these to county, and I can speak to the applicant about the other signs that they would also like on these properties. And we can find out whether they will in fact appear at the next meeting, since this is their second cancellation, or if they wish to withdraw the applications.
yeah. Okay, so your recommendation, we just simply adjourn these?
Yes,
Okay.
assuming that there's no one in the audience here to speak on any of them.
Okay, so is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address their applications for new and additional signage at 4 different locations? 2 on South Road, 1 at Red Oaks Mill, and 1 on Route 9 near Marist. Okay, seeing none. I move that items number 12, 13, 14, and 15 be adjourned to our next meeting on August 5th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Coozles? Okay. All right. The final items, number 16, Orange County, the Poughkeepsie Limited Partnership doing business is Verizon Wireless, an applicant at the new Hamburg Fire District. At the request of the applicant, they have asked us to adjourn this. So I move that item number 16 be adjourned to the meeting on August 5th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? James, are you recusing yourself on that?
Recusing myself on
Okay, so let the record show that James La Rosa has recused himself on item 16. Okay. All right, that brings us to the end of the regular business. And we can return to the top of the agenda. Is it okay to keep going, or do people want to? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to address the matters for which people are present, or do you want to go in order?
Let's see. We normally do the ones where people are waiting.
First one is empty.
Okay. All right. So let's see. It's item 2.
2.
Okay, Anthony and Elizabeth Liguri, 35 Crestwood Boulevard. Okay. Okay, these are 2 variances. One to allow the construction of a front porch that's 18.4 feet from the side lot line, where 20 feet is required. The second is to allow the construction of a rear deck, 18.4 feet from the side lot line, where 20 feet is required. It's a type 2 action, so there's no environmental determinations that we need to make. This looks pretty straightforward to me. Is everybody okay with it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I move as findings the following. The board finds that there will be no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The board notes that the construction of front porches and decks is very common both throughout Crestwood neighborhood and the town at large. The house was built in 2003 before the current zoning requirements, and the house itself is 18.4 feet from the side lot lines, or side lot line. There's only one line that's in question. And so the proposed porch and decks will be no closer than the house already is. Two, whether the benefits sought by the applicant could be achieved by some other method. The board finds that the location of the proposed deck and porch makes sense and could not be located in other places. Three, whether this requested area variance is substantial. The board finds that the actual variance less than 2 feet is not substantial. The board further finds that the proposed variance will have no adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood, and the board finds that the difficulty is self-created in the narrow sense that the applicant has chosen to construct these two things, but that the applicant had no control over the change in the zoning requirement from the time the house was built. So move.
Second.
Okay, you want to do the
Sure. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 2. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Second.
Okay, proposal to approve item number 2 made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, item number 2 is approved. Okay, the next one is what? Number 5. Okay. All right, Joanne and Chance Carswell, 590 Van Wagner Road. It's a variance to allow the construction of a side and rear deck to be located 41 feet from the northern side lot line where 50 feet is required. Again, this is a type 2 action, so there's no environmental issues here. People okay with this?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I move as findings as follows. The board finds that there will be no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to the nearby properties. The deck, because it's in the rear and the side, is only partially visible from the street, and that there are no nearby dwelling on the left side, which is northern side, which is in question. The board notes that although the house is currently under construction, the lot map was approved in 2008, and it's a lot of 1.86 acres where the zoning is for 4 acres. So the setbacks are larger than they were when the lot was originally created. The board finds that it would be virtually impossible for the applicant to achieve the benefit of a deck by some other method. The location of the deck is essentially defined by the doors in the house which is now constructed. The board finds that the requested area variance is not substantial. It's 9 feet compared to one of 50 feet, but there's the lot is very large and there are no nearby neighbors. The board finds that the proposed variance will have no adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. And finally, the board finds that the difficulty is self-created in the narrow sense that the applicant is choosing to build a deck, but that the change in the zoning requirements imposed a hardship that he could not control. Okay, so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of, oh, no, wait, oh, you needed to make the motion.
Oh, okay.
That would be a good idea.
I move that the board
right
approve
along here.
the request for an area variance set forth in item number 5, decisions based upon a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Okay, now we can do this. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay.
Number 6.
Number 6, okay. Severio Dahlia, 649.
Actually, I don't see the applicant, but.
Well, but I guess they're interested.
The public, people who spoke.
I mean,
I don't have.
do you have, I think,
No.
I think let's just go ahead, okay. All right, 649 Van Wagner Road. This is a variance to allow the construction of a single-family dwelling located 31 feet from the northern side lot line and 28 feet from the southern lot line, where 50 feet is required for each. Again, this is a type 2 action. Okay. Comments, discussion?
I think Mr. Nielsen made an interesting observation about where the house is situated on the lot. That it's right, it's exactly adjacent to his house.
But, you know, the interesting thing is the proposal, it doesn't come any closer than the existing structure is to the side, right?
Well, the approved, there's no existing structure. It was the approved
The approved, okay.
site plan.
I'm sorry.
I think that the suggestions that Mr. Nielsen made would put the onus on the person who owns the property, and he would take the hit, as opposed to Mr. Nielsen taking the hit on this.
Inkler, is that the person's name that
They own
owns
the
the property to the right? Okay, so there's no, it's only to his benefit then to see that, the house move another.
And if it were closer to that property, the house would be next to his front lawn as opposed to right next to his house as it is proposed now. Just to.
Yeah, I too was taken by the suggestion, and also, I mean, basically what the applicant is looking for are 2 variances, one on each side. This would, moving the house sideways, would eliminate one of those, And of course, the code says we're supposed to give the minimum variance necessary for the applicant to achieve the benefit.
Right, but it increases the need for the variance on the other side.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. But it would be one variance rather than two. I don't know, there might be a way of angling the house slightly that would minimize the side yard variance on that northern side. I don't know, but I know that it would then be in conformity, at least on one side, which seems to me is better than having issues on both sides.
Well, I think it's an interesting point that the original site plan approval doesn't encroach any more than that one. The neighbor was owned the property for that and was aware of it. And to now at this point complain about it, I'm not that impressed.
Well, I mean, at the time it was an empty lot, has been for a long time. Now there's this specific proposal. I don't hold that against.
I'm also not sure what the zoning was in 2007 and when it changed. I don't know when this became 4A.
I think it became 4A afterwards, but yeah.
Yeah, in the most recent. Yeah.
But
I understand the point.
Yeah,
doesn't change. Feet, the measurement didn't change, so. And my recollection is closer to the other property. There's a row of mature trees, if I recall correctly.
No,
closer to the Ankler residence.
Yes. Yeah, there are mature trees there. Although, let's see. The movement of the house that's being proposed would not take those trees out.
No, one of the movements wouldn't. The other one.
Okay, maybe one of them does. Yeah, it does.
Giving the design that the Mr. Dahlia would like, it would take the trees out. Keeping it perpendicular to Ben Wagner.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's a plan A and plan B.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I guess my preference would be for the applicant to sharpen the pencil and see if there's a way to put in a house that looks right to him but requires less in terms of variances. But I don't know how.
So the board closed the public hearing.
Yes.
So you have the opportunity to grant or deny the application as proposed. Or, I mean, you do have 62 days if you want to not make a decision this evening, but since the public hearing is closed, regardless of what the applicant decides to do, it would require a new public hearing notice.
Right.
If the board wanted to just do one variance, but it increased that one side variance, does that need to be re-advertised or? I understand the argument that one variance is less than two variances, but it's certainly an increase in the side yard variance needed if you move it over.
Without the applicant's input, I don't think you can propose moving the house and granting a variance perhaps a foot or two, but in this instance, I think it's a little too substantial to do without. I think the board has to vote on what the applicant proposed.
Right.
And we did have an request informally from the neighbor to adjourn rather than hold. I mean, if the board really has a debate about this, you could always move to reopen the public hearing and either provide some guidance to the applicant or, advise them to watch the deliberations and perhaps come back with a modified plan. We've done that in the past.
Right. Okay.
I think since the applicant's not here any longer, I think that would probably be the best way to go. Give him an opportunity for us to reopen.
I'm good with that.
Okay. So what, we need to reopen the public hearing?
And then adjourn it to August 5th and then advise your secretary or your attorney to take whatever further action you like to relay a message to the applicant.
Okay. All right. I am comfortable doing that because I think what came out in the public hearing and the discussion was a lot of new information and certainly new options, and I would really like to see those explored rather than just do an up or down. Okay, I move that the board reopen the public hearing on item number 6. I further move that the board adjourn the public hearing to the meeting on August 5th, and I further move that the board request our counsel and our secretary to notify the applicant of our actions and invite the applicant to provide further input at our next meeting.
Second.
Okay, that sounds fair? I think it is. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So this is adjourned. All right. Let me see, do we have?
Now it's number 11. Number 11.
Number 11. Okay. All right. Okay. Michael and Tina Martin Hignafo, 11 Manchester Road, a variance to allow the conversion of the third floor of an existing building into a dwelling unit, which will result in a residential density of 4,487 square feet per dwelling unit, where the code requires 7,260 square feet. It's a type 2 action, and you will find in your packet a staff report that recommends that this variance be approved. Let's see, what is it? Is it my? It must be. I guess it's my turn. Okay. Okay. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 11. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts as findings the items 1 through 5 of the staff report. So move.
Second.
Okay, anybody have a problem with this one?
The variance, Lisa, the variance on the height for the apartment, is that still good?
The building hasn't changed, so the interior height, they're not proposing any change to that?
The fact that it's been abandoned as an apartment?
I think it's an interesting question. I will have to raise it with, well, I guess Tom, since Lizette is on maternity leave. But I believe it's still current since they're not changing the ceiling at all. But yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 11?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Approved, 6-0. All right. Okay. All right. So I guess nobody else is waiting for us. So let's go back to item number 1. David Imperati, 11 Morse Street. This is a variance to allow the construction of a front porch to be located 19 feet from the west side lot line and 15 feet from the east side lot line, where 20 feet is required for each, and 25.4 feet from the front lot line, where 30 feet is required. And this is a type 2 action. Okay, if there are no problems here, okay. I move the board adopt as findings as follows. The board finds that there will be no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. That the addition of front porches is very commonly found in that neighborhood. The board finds that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved in any other method. He's seeking to replace an existing small porch with a larger, more functional one. The board finds that the requested area variance is not substantial. The porch will be no closer to the side lot lines than the existing house. And further, the board finds that the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. The board finds that the alleged difficulty is self-created. He has chosen to build a new porch. This is offset by the fact that this is an unusually narrow lot, 50 feet wide, with a house that was built in 1950, long before the current code requirements. So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Larry, do you want to do the? Yeah, right here. Just right there. Item 1.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 1. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair.
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve number 1 has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Approved, 6-0. Okay. All right. Item number 3 has been adjourned to our next meeting. That brings us to item number 4. Scott Lenig, 10 Hinman Boulevard. This is a variance to allow the construction of a front porch to be located 18 feet from the southern lot line and 14 feet from the northern side lot line, where 20 feet is required for each, and 25 feet from the front lot line, where 30 feet is required. And again, this is a type 2 action. Anybody have any issues with this?
Nope.
I think this is pretty straightforward. Okay, I move that the board adopt as findings that, one, there will be no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties from this application. The addition of a front porch is common in the Hinman Boulevard neighborhood. The benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by any other method. Again, he's replacing a front porch that's in poor condition with one that will be much more attractive and functional. The board finds that the requested variance is not substantial in the sense that on the two side lot lines, the porch will be no closer to lot lines than the existing house. And the board notes that a number of the properties along Hinman Boulevard appear to be closer to the street than the current code would require. The board finds that the proposed variance will have no adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood. And the board finds that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but this does not preclude the granting of the variance. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay. Okay, if there's no further discussion, Tony.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 4. And this decision is based on a review of the application, a testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So move.
Second. Okay, motion to approve item number 4 has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, approved, 6-0. Item number 7, Ira Steer, 876 Dutchess Turnpike, a variance to allow the construction of a new entry vestibule to be located 42.7 feet from the southern lot line and 42 feet from the northern lot line, where 50 feet is required for each. For some reason, this is an unlisted action, but okay.
Because it's a commercial property?
Oh, that must be it. Okay. All right, I move the ZBA declare itself lead agency for the purposes of the environmental review of item number 7.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So one recusal?
And one recusal. Okay. All right, I move that the ZBA finds that based on the information submitted by the applicant in an EAF short form, that the proposed action in item number 7 will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, I move as findings the following. The proposed change produce no undesirable effects in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The board notes that this is an unusually narrow lot. It's 100 feet wide, and that it would be impossible to build anything, any kind of an entryway that would not require a variance. The board further notes that this essentially replaces an existing canopy, so the visual change will be minimal. And finally, the board notes that the nearest neighbor had no problems with the proposal. The board finds that the benefits on the applicant, namely replacing an old canopy, cannot be achieved by any other method. short of simply replacing the canopy, and that the enclosed vestibule will have other benefits. The board finds that the requested variance is not substantial given the existing conditions, and the board finds that the proposed variance will have no adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. And the board finally notes that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but that does not preclude the granting of the variance. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, James.
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 7. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and one recusal. Thank you. Okay. Item number 8, Matthew and Jennifer Canella, 10 Nassau Road. This is a variance to allow a swimming pool to be located in a front yard and to allow it to be located 25 feet from the front lot line where 30 feet is required. It's a type 2 action. Okay, this is the swimming pool behind the fence. Anybody have any problems with this? Okay. All right, I move that the board adopt as findings as follows. The board finds that there will be no undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The board notes that the pool and the deck in question are enclosed in a fence and invisible from the street or from any neighboring properties. The board further notes that the property in question is a corner lot and therefore has 2 front yards, and that the swimming pool is located on the so-called front yard that is not where the front of the house is located. The board finds that the benefit sought would be difficult to achieve by any other method. The pool could be moved, but given the size of the lot and the location of the 2 front yards, it would be difficult. The board finds that the area variance is substantial in the sense that it locates a pool where the code prohibits it, but that otherwise the distance, the variance for the front lot line is minimal. The board finds that the proposed variance will have no adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. That's pretty much given the existence of the fence. And finally, the board notes that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but that this does not preclude the granting of the variance. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I guess we're back to you.
Okay. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 8. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So move.
Okay, motion to approve item number 8 has been made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, approved 6-0. All right. Item 9, Richard Erickson, 20 North Jackson Drive, a variance to allow a shed to be located 5 feet from the side lot line where 10 feet is required. Looks okay to me. Okay. All right, I move the board adopt its findings as follows. The proposed, the action proposed by this will have no undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, nor a detriment to nearby properties. The board notes that the only issue here is the location of the shed, and the board notes that there exists currently not only a fence but some existing vegetation between the proposed shed and the nearest neighboring house. The board finds that the benefit sought by the applicant would be very difficult to achieve by some other method. This would mean relocating the shed to another location. The property in question not only has a septic system, but the property slopes, and there really is only kind of one level area where it could be located. The board finds that the requested area variance is substantial in the sense that it locates at 5 feet from the lot line rather than 10. But the board also notes that given the conditions along that lot line, the effect of this variance will not be substantial. The proposed variance will not have any adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, and the board finds that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but this does not preclude the granting of the variance. So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Paul?
I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 9. Decisions based upon a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by the board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Approve the item number 9. Motion been made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approved, 6-0. Item number 10, Kyle Buckley, 26 Peach Road. This is a variance to allow a single-family residence to be constructed 50 feet from the front lot line where 100 feet is required. This is a type 2 action, so there's no environmental review. This looks okay to me. How do people feel?
Okey dokey.
Okay. Okay, I move the board approve as findings as follows. The proposed variance will not produce any change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to the nearby properties. The applicant has testified that the buildings on either side of his proposed house are also less than 100 feet from the road. So this would be in keeping with the existing character of the neighborhood. The board finds that the benefit sought by the applicant would be difficult to achieve by any other method because the existence of a floodplain and the requirement for a septic field severely constrains the location of the proposed house. The board finds that the requested variance is substantial in the sense that the variance would produce a front yard setback of 50 feet where 100 feet is required. But given the neighborhood and the constraints, the effect of this variance will not be substantial. For the proposed variance will have no adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions. In fact, the location of the house is chosen in such a way as to minimize the impact, certainly in terms of the floodplain. And 5, the board finds that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but this does not preclude the granting of the variance. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I move to approve the request for let's see, this is just an area variance set forth in item number 10. This decision is based on the review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, and results of site visits by board members. In approving this variance, the board adopts the findings as set forth by the chair. So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, approved.
Mr. Chair, I hate to do this, but item 4, was that the one with the 28 feet versus 25 feet? And we granted the variance for 28?
No, you
Or we
said
got-
25 feet.
I changed it to 25 in
Okay.
the variance.
I
yes,
didn't in
but-
my notes.
But thank you for checking on that. Okay, I believe that brings us to the end of the agenda. We have a number of items that are adjourned to the next meeting, so I suspect that will be, might be a longer meeting, so everybody enjoy whatever vacations. If you're taking them, rest up, and we will see you on August 5th. Okay, if there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.